It was a key battle that changed the course of British history. Now, a lengthy investigation has revealed the site of the 1066 Battle of Fulford in York. Archaeologist Charles Jones says the compelling evidence shows beyond any sensible doubt that the historic battle in the city of York took place on land now being prepped for new housing. He says a cache of weapons including axes, arrows, and swords found during a dig proves the conflict was fought at Germany Beck, York. Mr. Jones was at loggerheads with house builders Persimmon Homes over a long-running campaign to prevent plans for 655 homes being built on the site. However, after a lengthy legal battle, the new homes on the 60-acre site were eventually approved and are set to be built soon. Mr. Jones said, "The narrative of any site will, of course, be endless, but we must be brave and state a clear conclusion when it's justified." Just accept that archaeologists are going to argue with you, but please remind them of the damage they do when they publicly nitpick while avoiding the big picture. In this spirit, I am happy to state that we have, beyond any sensible doubt, located the 1066 battle site at Fulford. The Battle of Fulford preceded other well-known 1066 battles, including Stamford Bridge, which later set up the famous Battle of Hastings. Following the death of King Edward the Confessor of England at the beginning of 1066, Viking invaders attempted to take the north of England, and then the throne, for their own. England's new ruler, King Harold Godwinson, faced off against a Norse army in the Battle of Fulford, a bloody and gruesome battle that the Saxon side lost. The invading forces' victory was short-lived as King Harold slaughtered the Norse army in a surprise attack at Stamford Bridge in East Riding, Yorkshire, just 5 days later. Mr. Jones has spent more than 2 decades researching the Battle of Fulford. He argues the 80-acre Germany Beck site on the southern outskirts of York is the most probable location. In November 2012, English Heritage, which protects and promotes historical sites around the country, took advice from a battlefield advisory panel and refused to designate Mr. Jones's Fulford site on an official battlefield register. The decision was upheld on review in July 2013. English heritage experts concluded that even though it was probable Germany Beck was the battlefield site, the evidence was insufficiently conclusive to securely identify it for registration. In May 2014, Jones challenged the refusal in a high court fight to protect the site. York firms Persimmon Homes and Hog Builders want to build 655 homes on the site, but if it is recognized by English Heritage it will receive a degree of protection from developers. Ian Dove-QC, for Mr. Jones, argued at London's High Court that the 2012 decision not to recognize the site as a battlefield cannot stand. He said as part of Mr. Jones' 2014 High Court case that the decision-makers failed to apply the correct location test. That involved consideration of whether there was evidence that a battle had occurred in a particular location with a fair degree of probability. The QC told Mr. Justice Lindblom the test was contained in the Battlefield Designation Selection Guide, the only up-to-date statement of English Heritage's designation policy. Mr. Dove said it was uncontroversial that absolute proof for the boundaries of a battle was rarely possible. Referring to English heritage, he said, "If they did not apply the fair degree of probability test to the question of location, then unarguably they erred in law in the decision they reached." Now, Mr. Jones claims to have found a cache of weapons including axes, arrows, and swords that he says proves the conflict was fought at Germany Beck.